The contents of this show are for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. Any information on the show does not create a client-therapist relationship and should not be taken as professional advice. Before making any decisions regarding your healthcare, ask your personal physician or mental health care professional, or call 911 for any emergencies.
We are three friends exploring connection, from the coffee shop to the podcast studio. I'm Amy.
I'm Anna.
I'm Erin.
Okay, so today we have Tiffany Jenkins on the phone, and she's amazing and hilarious. And so Tiffany Jenkins is the funny lady behind Juggling the Jenkins. She has over 3.8 million Facebook followers and counting. Tiffany is a wife, mother, best-selling author, content creator, and recovering addict. Although best known for her funny viral Facebook and YouTube videos, which are hilarious. Tiffany is incredibly passionate about bringing awareness to mental illness. She speaks shamelessly, openly, and honestly about her past and addiction, as well as her struggles with depression and anxiety, and has been featured on national television shows like The Today Show and The Doctors. Tiffany shares her story of hope in jails, rehabs, and high schools, and has traveled across the country headlining her own tour. Her story has had such an overwhelming response from followers that she decided to share other stories of recovery submitted by people all over the world. On this site, jugglingthejenkins.com, which I'm reading her bio from currently, you'll find inspiring stories of overcoming obstacles, funny videos, and more. Tiffany is absolutely amazing, and the reason we really wanted to have her on this show is because of the connection to the duality, the connection to the and, to the highs, to the lows, to the funny, to the real. Tiffany is absolutely amazing, and we're so excited to have you on the show.
Yes, so welcome to all of our listeners, and a huge welcome and thank you to Tiffany.
Hello, thank you. Am I here?
Yeah, you're here. We're all in.
Yeah.
I just realized how extra my bio is.
It's
and
amazing.
I should probably trim it down. It's like, Tiffany is the most magnificent person in all of the land ever.
Well,
Hey, just call it like you see it, right?
that's right.
It's good. We are doing amazing work, and it's just so fun. Your videos are absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So do you want to just start with, well, Erin, okay, Erin's like about to jump off of her chair over here.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you
So
just...
we talked a little bit about this before we started recording, but I listened on Audible last week to your book, and I was so excited. I literally could not stop listening.
Your book,
And
High Achiever.
Yes. Yeah. And so I was listening on the way to work, out of work, like right before I did my paperwork, all the things, like I couldn't stop because it was you did such a good job of the acting in it, of the different voices, and then the emotional journey that I went on. Like I was real anxious the second half of the book when you were when you were in the therapist's office at the rehab, like talking about all that stuff. And when all those things were happening, so it was amazing.
So let's start. Tiffany, can you just tell us about the book, High Achiever?
Yes. So the book, I was releasing a chapter a week on the blog initially because I just wanted to give people the heads up about jail. And people ended up like digging it way more than I anticipated. And they're like, man, it's really interesting to see addiction from the perspective of an addict. I felt like I was right alongside of you with it. And so I kind of made that my goal. And I tried to write it in a way that took the reader through the crazy things I did with me and through the heartbreak, and kind of give the perspective that they don't usually get. And so I started getting messages from people saying, I wish I could send this to my son in jail or my mom who doesn't understand my addiction. And that was when I was like, okay, I need to put this in book form. So I Googled how to write a book, and I did that.
That's awesome.
Good work, girl.
So you've got this book, and you've got an incredible story, and you have personal experience with jail. Yep.
Yeah.
So let's back up to how you got there. What is your background, and how did you end up in jail?
My background, I was a decent kid. Like I got good grades. Like I was involved with cheerleading and sports. My stepdad was a cop, and we lived with him full time. I had structure. But I always I was always anxious and depressed. I just didn't know it.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't talk about it growing up. So I got to an age where I was able to kind of numb that myself. And so it was my senior year in high school, and I was almost done, almost graduated, and I ended up trying alcohol for the first time, and I didn't feel any of those things anymore. I just felt numb, and it was magical. And so I chased it and dropped out of school and spent the next 10 years in this haze. And the alcohol turned to marijuana, turned to prescription pain medication. And those were the things that took me down, man, were the pills. When I started, I was ignorant. I had no clue about like withdrawal and addiction. I never thought that I could get addicted. And before I knew it, like when I didn't have the pills, I felt so sick. Like the only way to put it in perspective is I would have gladly chosen death over that feeling of withdrawal any day. It was that painful. It was so bad. And so that was when my desperation grew to not feel like that. Combined with the fact that I was in a relationship with a deputy sheriff and I had to keep this addiction hidden. So that was a good time.
Well, it's crazy when you were writing that in the book. I was just like, it was because I felt like as the reader, like excruciating, like, oh God, and all the situations that would come up with you. I was like, oh, my stomach would turn, and then I can't imagine what that felt as. Well, I can because you took the reader on the journey, but like it was, oh my God.
That's so validating though to hear, like even today, because my life, I woke up every day wanting to die back then. And I knew that wasn't normal, but it was, my reality was so dark. The reality that I had created for myself, it was so overwhelming. And I was like sinking deeper and deeper and deeper every single day. And I couldn't claw myself out. And so I thought getting into a relationship with a sheriff initially was a good idea because I remember the stability my stepdad provided. And I was like, oh, I can't get high if I'm with a cop. This is so perfect.
So you're in this relationship with the deputy sheriff and you have this secret, crazy pill and other substances.
Was he just
addiction,
super naive,
right?
or his head in the clouds, or he was traumatized from his job? But how did he fall for all of your shit is what I was like wondering. Like, how did that?
How'd you keep the secret?
Or is he just like, he sounded very, very sweet and like kind. And so I'm just curious about, I was like, how is this dude falling for this all the time?
I ask myself that every day, and I chalked it up to the fact that I was like a really good liar and manipulator.
Yeah.
Because I had to be. If I wanted to keep this house that he bought us in this relationship and our pet and this beautiful life, I had to hide the truth about who I was constantly. So every word out of my mouth was a lie. Every thought that I had was to cover up something else. And I think that he maybe just loved me so much that he didn't want to see it. And I also think that since I relapsed so soon in our relationship, all he ever knew was me on drugs. And I, when I say that I did the prescription pills, I ended up, injecting them. Like I was doing it in a way that was not cute. And I had to wear long sleeves and, I was just strung out and, had all my equipment laying around and hiding in places. And it was a miserable existence.
Hey, Anna.
Yeah?
Erin's a pretty badass therapist, right?
I totally know. I just take notes when she's talking.
Me too. Some of our audience does as well. So did you know that there's also a place that you can get information directly from her?
On her website, right?
Yeah. And didn't you do it?
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, so there's all these free workshops that they're offering, and at thekaliinstitute.com, you can sign up for those. Kali is how you spell Kali, and then Institute, thekaliinstitute.com.
Get it done.
When you went on the ride along and your friend Javier was the dude in the car, you couldn't talk about that? That was, I almost get teary talking about that. Listen, because it sounded like it was the word horror. I can't even imagine. It was, yeah. Yeah,
it was very crazy. And if it wasn't for the shirt, because I remember so vividly the shirt that he was wearing, that it took me a second and then another level of realization and another level of realization. And when I came full circle and I understood what was going on, it was breathtaking. It was insane. It was a really, really crazy time. And you'd think that would have stopped me, but it didn't.
So did you find yourself getting lost in all the lies that you were living in? Like, was the sheriff, did he ever become your husband or just was he boyfriend?
No, just boyfriend.
Okay. And so then did you ever catch yourself, did you ever lose yourself in all your lies? And then you didn't even know what was what?
Oh yeah, often.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had a story for everything. I had a story why I needed money, why I wasn't bringing money home, where I was, why I was sleeping in, why I was sick again this week. My life was nothing but a series of excuses to cover up and explain and justify.
Mm-hmm.
And there were definitely times where I lost myself a little bit and I forgot what I'd said. And so I had to double lie to make up for the lie. It was exhausting. And I knew eventually something bad was going to happen. I was going to die. I was going to get caught. And honestly, I didn't care. I was just waiting for it to happen. I would have gladly accepted death. I was so done. I remember I used to just hope, please God, kill me in my sleep. Please let me get into a car accident. And it's so weird to think like that because now my anxiety is so crazy about getting hurt or dying because I love, my family so much that it's my biggest fear is something bad happening. But it took a lot between where I'm at now and where I was to get to that point. And that includes getting tossed in jail with a whole bunch of felonies.
Yeah. So something bad eventually did happen. So for those for the listeners of ours who don't know, what ended up happening?
I had been pawning items from around the home to support my habit. And I ended up taking some very valuable things of his, firearms, and selling them. And I was caught. And I was taken to jail with around 20 felonies, and I spent 120 days in jail. And I talk about that in the book and what that was like. That's actually how the book opens, was my time in jail. And
that's what hooked me in. That hooked me in.
Wait, and let's just
oh my God.
Let's just pause on the fact that you just said that you stole firearms from your sheriff deputy boyfriend. Right?
Yeah. Not a good move.
Ooh, boy. Yeah.
Well, I thought in my head, in my addiction, I was literally oh, well, this is fine because I'll just get enough pills to think clearly. And then I'll figure out a way to get the guns back once I'm thinking clearly. I just need this pain to stop for now so that I can go on with my day and think clearly and make a plan. And, I don't want to give too much of the book away, but unfortunately I didn't have time to come up with a plan because shit started hitting the fan very, very shortly after that.
And that we won't give too much of but that guy Mitch is a real douche. That's what I thought in the book. Just as what you portrayed him well. I don't know if you think he's a douche, but he was...
No,
I was wanting
real.
to fucking lose it on that. You did his so well. Holy shit.
He has not changed one bit from what I can see and from what I've heard. I stalk him sometimes and it's the same and he has not grown up and it's, oh my God. I haven't run into him thankfully, but I'm terrified. He sent me a few messages on Facebook, but I had to block him because I was just, it was.
So can you guys give us a little insight on Mitch for those who don't know?
Yeah. So Mitch was a friend of mine who I had known for a very long time. We were actually best friends at one point, and he was born into money. So he had really nice things and he was rich and had nice cars and, a nice home. And he was a super big, huge, gigantic drug dealer. And there was a series of events that happened one night and I called him for help and it ended up being a really dumb decision because I got myself into a really weird predicament that ended up, I was so desperate to get out of that I started making some really crazy choices. And I think that's what sped up my trip to jail, really. But yeah, I was heavily influenced by him, and he has his pilot's license, he has his lawyer's license, he has his real estate license. He's so rich, and I thought he was Superman for a very long time. I thought there was nothing that he couldn't do, and he felt invincible to me, and I felt really like anything in the world was possible when I was in his presence back before we reconnected. And then when we reconnected, he used, what I would say is that superpower of his against me.
So you went from this relationship, the double life, the secrets to jail, and Mitch was kind of interwoven. And now you're finding yourself, you have over 3 million.
Hold on, can I stop?
Yeah.
Can we pause on that? Do you talk to any of those people that you were close with when you were in jail?
No, not
okay.
one.
All right. I was just curious about that.
Oh, when I was in jail?
When you were in jail, I think her name was Sarah. Or
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like before jail, like Mitch and all the. No, because I don't talk to anyone from when I was using, but in jail, and this is the honest truth, the majority of people that I was in jail with are dead. There is one girl who, Sarah, in the book, was my best friend. I was everything to me, and I just saw a mugshot of her on the local newspaper, and she looked like a corpse, and it made me so sad, and I reached out to her, and I haven't heard back, but I hate it so much because I just want to shake her and be like, dude, if I can do this, you can do this. Like, please, she's got kids, and not that, addiction doesn't care if you have kids, but I just know the joy she could be experiencing on a daily basis if she could, just frickin' become willing to give that shit up. And, there's no difference between me and her, but it's so powerful, and I understand it, so that there's nothing I can do.
All right, now one more question about the book. So when you had the psychologist come in, I don't know if you were I was right after you were in the mental health part of the hospital, I think, and it was you were her cheerleading coach.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit, because I coach high school sports, and I'm like, I can't imagine what that, so comforting, and so, I don't know, so what was that like?
Yes. She's my friend still, I guess. I should say her.
Is this Sarah or is this someone else? Oh, okay.
Wait, what was her name in the book? Okay, so
I don't know.
Here's the thing. I released the book on my own.
Okay.
In 2017, and then it was picked up by a publishing company just this year.
Oh,
and
congrats.
we had to change the names of the characters because when I self-published it, I made some of the names possibly a little bit too close to their real names.
Right.
Yeah.
And so for legal reasons, they're like, we need to switch these up. And so I get a little confused sometimes because even when they were on the blog, the names were different. So the names have changed quite a bit.
Probably safe.
So Sarah is the one who came to the medical facility in jail with me and took the life.
Okay. All right.
That's the one I was talking about.
Okay.
Is that Sarah in the second?
I can't get I couldn't remember. I knew I should have taken it down.
So I should know this.
When whatchamacallit, just when she came in, you were in a bad spot. It might have been, that's Sarah?
Wait, unless you're talking about my lesbian girlfriend.
No, not her. But that is interesting.
It's got to be Sarah.
Okay, Sarah. Yeah, good. High fives. We got through that.
Go team. Go team.
All right. Yeah.
So, Tiffany, you were saying a lot of the people that you were in jail with have not made it, sadly, but you did. And so what did that look like for you? What has happened in your life for you since you spent time in jail?
My life today is more beautiful than I could have ever in a million years dreamed, truly. I remember sitting in jail and just feeling so hopeless and so empty and looking towards the future, and it was just dark. There was no hope. I couldn't imagine a life without drugs. I couldn't imagine rekindling the relationships that I'd lost once my truth was found out. I couldn't imagine. And that's because how could I? I don't know what the universe has planned. I don't know what decisions are going to lead to. And so I ended up making the decision to go directly from jail to a 6-month rehab program. And that was the smartest decision that I ever made because I knew that my brain was broken and I needed help getting it fixed. And so I spent 6 months there, and next month, November, I'll have 7 years clean.
Whoa,
yeah,
awesome.
Good job.
Thank you. Since I've gotten clean, I've gotten married, I've had children. I wake up every single day and I am so grateful to be alive. I lay my head on the pillow at night and I don't feel guilty for the decisions I made. I feel like I'm a good person nowadays. It's because I became willing to do whatever it took. to stop. And I did the opposite of what the old me would have done. So the old me would not have wanted to go to rehab. So I went. The old me would not have wanted to do step work. So I did it. The old me wouldn't have, and I literally had to base every single decision that I made in the beginning on the opposite of what the old me would have done, because I was incapable of making smart adult decisions. And so I was like, well, I'll just do the opposite of what I would usually do. And, I had a group of really incredible people around me showing me the way and helping me learn how to live life without drugs. And it's incredible.
What's it like to go? Well, what's it like to go from, but like because so I like thinking about me listening to your book and then super stoked to talk to you because I'm like, oh, she's great, but I don't know you, right? I just listened to your book. And so what is it like to go from where you were to like now being famous and that whole process? Because it really hasn't been that long, and have all these people like, oh, I know all these things about you, but then it's still, they don't. And so,
right.
What is it like?
Well, I started making videos and stuff about 2.5 years ago. That's when things started taking off.
Wow.
Taking.
Roll with it. Right?
Where I wrote a book. So it's a mixture. It's super incredible. When I go out, people are like, oh my gosh, Tiffany, I'm so excited. Let's take a picture. I'm such a huge, I don't want to say fan, but like, supporter of what you do and blah, blah, blah. And it makes me feel so cool. But then like, there's part of me that's like, but wait, you don't know what a psycho I am sometimes. And you don't know, how crazy and snippy I am with my kids and how irrational I am with my husband sometimes. And you don't know how lazy I am. And part of me feels like all these people dig me based on what they see, but I can't take their compliments seriously because I have this, I don't know, because I know the real me. And I feel like it's not fair to accept a compliment based on what they see, what little bit they see of me, My husband doesn't get excited when I walk into the room. And I'm like, oh, it must be
selfie
because
time.
he knows the real me. So, but yeah. And then there's times where I'm so weird around people. I have social anxiety, and small talk sometimes physically makes my heart like explode out of my chest, and I feel so tense and I can't breathe. Like during a weird short conversation with somebody, and I think it's because it's superficial,
Yeah.
Hey, how are you? Good. How are you? What's new? Not much, just kids. How about you?
Right. I fucking hate small talk. I'm with you. I'm with you. Yes.
If somebody walked up to me and was like, hey girl, if I was like, hey, what's up? And she's like, dude, my husband's pissing me off. I can't stand these damn kids. I'd be like, yo, okay, let's talk about it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
I feel like now we can really talk because that's my kind of conversation, not the shallow surface stuff. So sometimes it feels very like strained when people come up to me and, they just praise me and praise me and praise me. I'm like, can you call me a douchebag loser for 1 second? And it'll bring me back down because you're making me feel way cooler than I am.
And you can be both, right?
Right.
I mean, that's the crazy thing. And I think your life is such an example of the dualities that exist out there. Like one thing that we were talking about is how validation can feel so good. And, hearing someone say like, oh, I'm so proud of you, or that proud moment.
Because in the book, this is what I was telling you, and I don't know if this is significant, so this is why I wanted to ask you. I'm really stoked that I just listened to this and then you're here. But so when you're different people of like, I don't know, they were in positions of power or authority or whatever, and something would happen and they would be like, I'm so proud of you, that those are the words that you chose. And so I'm wondering if those are significant in terms of like, things that you needed to hear that maybe you weren't getting. Is there significance to that, or did I just make things up?
No, you didn't make it up at all. There was a point when I thought nobody would ever trust me again. Nobody would ever like me again. Nobody would ever be proud of me again, ever. And to hear that at the time was so profound for me, because in that moment I went from what I thought I was, which was just like an inmate number, a loser at a rehab, a drug addict, junkie, piece of crap, liar, to somebody that someone else looked at and was like, wow, you did something incredible. And it's a feeling that it's something that I never thought I would hear again. And and now it's so crazy because I hear it. It's like the opposite. Now I hear it so much.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to brag. It's just crazy to me how there was a point where I didn't think I could show my face ever again.
Mm.
Now your face is
now
everywhere.
It's friggin' all I do is show this dumb face. And that's why I tell people all the time, like, yo, if you're struggling, if you're going through something and it feels like this is the end and it feels like it'll never be different, I promise you that if you keep going, it will be. The universe has a weird way of like shaking things up in order to put your life back together the way it was meant to be. You know, sometimes we try to take control and we go off course and think we know where we want to go and try to steer ourselves there. And then the universe punches us in the face and kind of pulls us back on track. And I think that's what happened with me.
Jeez, it's so true. I just feel like I'm going through a divorce right now, and I was never, I was not expecting it whatsoever. And it totally, it's exactly what you just said, like punched me in the face, redirected me. I was, like had a more private life. And now here I am doing this podcast. And it's like, whoa, you either walk right into it and face it and with only trusting that something's going to work out.
Well, I feel like the universe whispers and then it screams. And then if you don't listen, like you're...
It's like, come on, listen up.
Yeah. It's just amazing. Like if you're, like you said earlier, the willingness is key.
So for you, from what I know, clearly not only from this book and from what your presence is, but it seemed like your path was kind of like, in retrospect, did it feel like the universe was like it felt like, or wherever your higher power is, but it like felt like all these things were leading to you to like, hey dude, pay attention, you need to get some help now. And you had all these opportunities and then the shit would happen or someone would show up or like however things went. Did it feel like that? Maybe not at the time, but did it feel like that afterwards? Because I was like, holy shit, that was a perfect thing to happen, even though it was awful, but it was like what you needed.
Yeah, I reflect all the time, and I'm like, man, I wonder if that time I stole that person's wallet and there was no money in it, and I was so angry. That was the universe trying to get me to withdraw and not do drugs, But instead of listening, I went and tried to steal another wallet. And it's like, I'm sure I missed so many signs and so many opportunities, but you hear what you want to hear. And when I ended up like humbling myself and losing everything and going to rehab, I was a sponge. I was like, all right, give it to me. What do I need to learn? What do I need to do? I'm listening. My way is not working.
How did you, so jumping ahead a little bit, how did you get the idea to start the videos and find the courage to put yourself out?
I had a pretty major postpartum depression after Chloe, my youngest, was born. And I was isolated. My husband was at work. I was home alone all the time with these kids, man.
Oh, yeah.
And these kids, dude. Like, I couldn't do. Chloe had colic and a dairy allergy and acid reflux and was miserable 23 hours a day. And, like, I don't care how good of a mom you are. If your baby's shrieking at you like a banshee all day, every day,
that is
you're going to be like, F this, dude.
Yeah.
I don't even like this kid. I couldn't bond with her. And I know it sounds so shocking, but like, it's true. I couldn't bond with her because all she did was like poop and spit in my face and like scream. And so I would go to social media and I, join all these mom groups and see what people are doing and how they're parenting. And it looked like everybody else was perfect. Everybody else had all the answers. Everybody knew what they were doing. Like, women had their hair brushed and were looking decent. I couldn't comprehend it. And so I was like, dude, like I'm failing here, man. And so I decided to just start using writing as a therapeutic outlet. And the more honest I was in my writing about anxiety and addiction and postpartum depression and stuff, the more people gravitated toward me. And suddenly I had all these followers and I was like, shit, this is crazy. I ended up making a video and making another video and it just like exploded. And I found that, the internet just really needed something real, I think. And I was able to fill that void. So if people were feeling like crap about themselves, they came to my page and they were like, who's this swamp creature? I feel better suddenly.
Oh, you are so funny. So where do you get your inspiration for your videos?
Life, really. Yeah. It's so trippy because I'll make a video based on me and what I'm feeling. And I say it every time. I'm like, this is going to be the video that people realize what a psychopath I am. Like, This is going to friggin' seal the deal. And then it ends up being shared 88 million times, and every comment is like, this is so me. And I'm like, oh my God. We're all crazy. Like,
that's true.
Yes. No one is
kooky.
alone.
And so it made me realize for the first time in my life, I wasn't alone. You know what I mean? And without the use of drugs, I felt okay with who I was for the very first time. And it's because of my supporters and because of people sharing their truths. And I think there's been a shift in the universe. And I think more and more people are coming out and letting their freak flags fly and being themselves. And
That's true.
I'm here for it.
So I just think about like how awesome it is for all those millions of people that they were able to see you doing that, and then they didn't feel alone.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is such a huge ripple effect. It's so awesome. Oh
yeah. I feel very, very friggin' fortunate to have a part in this. It's something that I will treasure forever. Even when I'm, irrelevant and I'm like 80 and I'm trying to show my kids like old clippings of Facebook posts and I'm like, look at how cool your grandma was. Like, even then, I'll just be so grateful to have been a part, of everybody's history. I think it's really cool.
Do you have a favorite video that you've done? Like maybe the numbers aren't there, but you're like, oh, this is so great.
100%. Nobody else likes it but me. I'm not kidding. It's called Underqualified. And it's a video, like I was going back to work for the first time and this boss man was like, what have you been doing for the past whatever years? And I'm like, I've been a stay-at-home mom. And he's like, I'm sorry, you're underqualified for this position. And then I like put my hair up and I'm like, bitch, underqualified. And then I start showing clips of all the things that I've been doing for the past 6 years, like referee, overnight security, chef, but pertaining to my kids and using clips of my kids. It just warms my heart. I just love them so much.
that's so awesome.
So your podcast, it sounds like it's going well.
Oh, wow. Hashtag goals.
Hashtag goals. You're dominating. How is it?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know. You guys just made it sound really good. Decent. I'm just kidding. So it's me and my friend Meredith from That's Inappropriate. She is a funny lady on Facebook. And I sit there with my friend and we just get weird. And it's like, I can't believe it's like a job. It's one of my favorite parts of what I do.
We can all relate, I think, to that. It's so good. It's so fun. That is great. So do you do anything
to get ready for the show beforehand?
So
any weirdness there?
Oh, no. Meredith preps all the shows. Are you talking about the podcast? Or
yeah. Podcast. Like, do you have any rituals before? I mean, we listened to Biggie, Hypnotized before, so that's why.
We like our twerking on the wall.
Yeah, so we're doing
We're like 40-year-olds twerking.
If you were doing that. Yeah. No.
Anna's upside down, feet on the door, on the wall.
I keep trying. I practice every day. I'm trying to get that down.
Okay, so
when
back to you, Tiffany. Yeah.
When you asked if I had any rituals to prepare for the podcast, you meant, do I twerk on the wall?
Yeah. That's what we're really asking.
That's what Anna does.
Got it.
I'm practicing.
Yes, she did.
I can't do it yet.
I drink coffee.
Right. All right. What?
Wah, wah. Come on. Is there anything else?
That's right.
So, Tiffany, what are you most proud of of all these great things and cool things that you've done? What are you most proud of?
Like work?
Or just in life? It could be work.
I'm proud of friggin' raising kids, man. This is going to sound really jerky, but I didn't think that I would ever be able to love a child because I never had pets growing up or anything. And I didn't know what it was like to love anything other than myself. And I was always really nervous to have kids, but I'll tell you what, these kids, when we're in public and they're like, please and thank you. I'm like, just kill me now. I have done my duty on this planet.
Yep.
It's the thing that I'm most proud of. I got pregnant in a halfway house and I had no job and no money and no car and no belongings. And I could have been like, oh, this is bad, and just screwed it all up. But instead, I just had this blind faith that things were going to be incredible, and I busted my butt and worked so hard, and my life is incredible. So if everything else went away and it was just me and my family, like, I'd be fine. I'd be so happy. If we're all together living under a bridge, like, I'd be fine. So if we had nothing and I just had them and the world ended and we were running through the woods fighting off zombies, but we were like together, I'd be great. That's all I need in life, really. I'd prefer it without zombies. But.
How old are your kids?
3, just turned 5, and my bonus daughter is 8.
Oh, that's great. So what is that, first grade? Yeah, first. No,
Which,
second
the oldest
grade?
one?
Yeah.
Third. She's
Third
going to be 9
grade.
next month.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's
my son's in pre-K.
So what's it like having the serious part of you and the super funny side of you? Like, is it hard to reconcile those, or?
So they're intertwined a bit. I feel like a lot of my humor is a defense mechanism. A lot of it is something that I do because I have a very serious side to me, and it stems from having been through serious things. And if you look at, like, you know, Jim Carrey and Robin Williams and all these comedians in the past, it's like, you'd be surprised probably how many people who do comedy have underlying mental illness.
There's a podcast about that.
It's how we cope, man. And so I would say the two things that, like, would be my page is unique in that it's not just for moms and it's not just for addicts. You know, it's for people. And so trying to balance the addiction side and the motherhood side is difficult because there's some people who watch me purely for inspiration when it comes to mental illness. And then there's some people who watch me purely because they want to laugh about motherhood. And it's both. And I go back and forth and I teeter-totter. And that's because, you know, this day and age, everybody says, what's your niche, whatever the word is. You know, what is it? What are you? You have to find where you fit in and get in there. But me, I just feel like I'm not one thing. I'm so many damn things. And there's no way I could just put myself in this little box and entertain just one small group that fits perfectly with my message, because my message is huge. It's a human thing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you're an addict or not, or a parent or not, or, you know, it doesn't matter. It's being a good person, having fun, living your best life, even though life is friggin' hard sometimes. Like, that's what my message is.
I think when people watch your videos or see, like, what you're doing, I think at least for me, the immediate thought is, like, hashtag, like, same, like, so relatable. It's like, no matter what it is, we were just watching, like, one of your anxiety videos before, and it was like just nailing the truth of, like, the reality of what it's like to live with anxiety. Just like, anxiety is such a fucking asshole. It's like, fuck, that shit is not looking out for you.
No.
It's like,
yes. And it's shocking to hear you say that, because those videos are so deep and they're so personal to me. So to hear that somebody else is, like, same, I'm like, what the hell, man? That's crazy. I thought I was alone my whole life. My whole life.
Nope.
I love that by you sharing your truth and your realness and, like, the parts that are most true to you about you, that other people have felt less alone because of that, like, deepness that you're sharing. It's so cool that you're helping people literally feel less alone.
Thank you. That's such a cool thing to hear.
We're just super cool.
Get the fuck out of here, Anna.
So with, like, such a public life and, like, it seems like you're sharing such personal things, is there anything that people would be surprised to know about you that you haven't really, like, shared about?
Probably that if we were, everybody always says, you know, I'd love to hang out with you. I'd love to be your best friend. But literally, if you were to come over to my house, we would just sit here in silence. Like, I'm so lame and I'm such an introvert. So bad. Like, if I could spend my whole life in my pajamas on my couch, not talking to anyone, like, I would. And I think people would be surprised to see that. Yeah, I'm actually pretty quiet, pretty chill.
You have pajamas on now?
I mean,
maybe.
She
none of your
just asked
business.
you what you're wearing.
I get awkward. I just get fucking mega weird. Sorry.
What are you wearing?
I was gonna make a joke. Because I was like, literally, my clothes are pajamas pretty much because I just fucking wear leggings and like big ass t-shirts all the time, and then I sleep in them and I wear them the next day. So I was trying to figure out how to talk about that without sounding like a dirtbag, and I just got quiet instead. And
then we got uncomfortable because I thought I
and made it sound way weirder than it was. But it was me. Because I'm like, oh my God, I have been wearing this for so long and I slept in it. So it is kind of my pajamas. Damn it.
Tiffany, do you ever have, being an introvert, do you ever have vulnerability hangovers?
What's that?
When you do share something so personal, like even the anxiety video, for example, where you're like, oh, that is like such a deep part of my personal experience. And then the next day or after you release it, are you ever like
an emotional hangover type of thing, or no? Is that different?
Yeah, emotional hangover, vulnerability hangover. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't think I do because I have an advantage. If I am vulnerable and I put myself out there, I will know within a minute if I've been accepted or not. For my vulnerability. Instantly, if I make a video and I put myself out there, instantly it'll be like, oh my gosh, thank you. Oh, this made my day. Oh, I needed it. This is amazing. Me too. And I'm like, okay, I'm like healed instantly. I don't, there's no hangover. Now, if I wasn't making videos and I went to a friend and I just opened myself up to them, and then I would probably I would question everything the next day, I'm sure.
Have you had issues with trolls?
I was just going to ask that.
Of course, dude. Duh.
How do you deal with it? Do you block them? Or are you just like, bye?
No, I just question my existence. And I'm like, maybe they're right. Maybe they're the only ones who could see the truth. All these other people, I've got them fooled. I can't relate to just intentionally going to someone's house and just being a dick. I just can't. And so I kind of stopped reading the comments for the most part, which sucks because in the beginning I'll read them, but then if I see one negative comment, I'm like, I have to address this immediately and make this person feel like crap, and I'll ignore all of the beautiful comments around it to address this one dickhole. And so I can't do it. I just don't read the comments, but I do. I have a hard time. People forget that you're a human and you're a person. And so when people refer to me like I'm not there, it pisses me off. Like Becky will be like, does anybody else think that she's trying a little bit too hard here to be funny? And I'm like, I'm right friggin' here, bitch, first of all. I hate it so much. Does anybody else think? No. You don't need to poll other people to validate your idea, you douche.
Why do those negative comments why does that weigh so heavy? Why do we do that?
I'm just insecure.
I think it's
totally human nature. I think it's
totally
human nature.
I would feel shitty if when people are saying, come
Aaron's
to your house
a therapist, so let's ask the therapist. Aaron, why do we do that? Why does it weigh more?
Is the therapist here this whole time?
Yes. She's your super fan.
I'm your super fan. I know it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Aaron, we could have been using you.
That's right.
So Tiffany,
so my question now, I'm in therapist role. So what are you doing to be more gentle and take care of yourself?
that is so therapist-y.
You talked about it in a recent video, so that's why I'm asking.
Therapist-y.
Yes.
I have had a complete transformation. I stopped going on social media, and instead I spend my spare time either listening to silence, which always was really super terrifying to me because my thoughts are dark and weird, or I listen to TED Talks. I've been meditating way
I thought
more.
You were going to say techno for some reason.
I listen to freaking dubstep. Really?
I'm like, that's where she's going with this. Definitely techno.
Yes.
So meditation.
Rage.
Right. Anna cuts me off too, so there we go.
Sorry.
Go. Okay, meditation.
Yeah. Just meditation, and I'm saying yes to things I want to say yes to, saying no to things I want to say no to. I'm not obsessing about creating hilarious videos and staying relevant and being important and, algorithms and insights and likes, because I got caught up in all of that in this desire to be popular. And, it feels like so many people now are coming out and making videos and doing what I'm doing, and it scares me and makes me feel replaceable. And so I let that get me down and get me to a really weird place. And this platform was given to me surprisingly 2.5 years ago. And if it ends, all right. But in the meantime, I'm going to have fun and be true to myself and not obsess so much.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad we made the cut.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for not cutting us out.
No kidding.
Or did you say yes to us and you're like, oh, shit.
I said yes to you guys a long time ago, so I had no choice otherwise.
We're like, oh, gosh, we made the cut.
Like, oh, shit, we wonder if she's just being nice now. So thanks for keeping us on the plate.
Yeah.
No, of course. No, I mean new offers.
Okay.
All right, yeah. Good.
I'm glad we made the cut.
Good.
Yeah. If people come to me and they're like, hey, we really want you to promote this battery that we sell, and we'll give you 2 free batteries for it. I'm going to be like, F you, Dave. I'm worth more than 2 batteries. You know what I mean? Like, I'm standing up for myself.
Right, yeah.
So, all right. I have a question. I always like to end the interviews with super random questions.
We never know what's coming, so we're in as a.
So I hope you're okay with this. This has nothing to do with what you do or the interview.
Yeah.
Buckle up.
It's super random. Okay. So if you could add one feature, well, first of all, should we have asked you about anything that we...
No.
Okay.
You killed it. You asked me so many questions.
You are the podcaster pro, so what should we have asked you that we didn't, basically?
Oh my God. No, nothing. You did great.
Okay, cool. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, if you could add one feature to the human body, what would you add?
Oh, that's a good one, Anna.
I was editing a podcast before, and the previous question on that was if you could choose if you would burp every time you went in to kiss someone, or what was the other part of that?
Or drool.
Or drool
something.
every time you talk. So this is a pretty good one, comparatively speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, this is so interesting. I have so many thoughts. But I would say, oh, gosh, a feature to the human body would be an alarm that goes off anytime something is wrong inside of it, so that I know I don't have to Google and just go to the hospital and wonder.
Yes.
It'll just be like an alarm, and I check my app, and it's like, you have
check your app.
a polyp on your sinus. And then I'm like, all right, cool. And then I know what to do. You know what I mean?
That would be really helpful.
Helpful.
Come on. We got to get that upgrade added here. Human body 2.0.
That's right.
Can you imagine?
Be great.
Well, because I'm always obsessing. If I have a stomach pain, I'm like, this is it. My appendix is bursted right here at my kid's game, and I'm going to die. And it's so bad. And I have this really crazy fear of cancer, because cancer took both my parents and all my grandparents. And I feel like it's just a friggin' matter of time. And if I had an alarm, I could just know when the time was and not have to stress.
Well, and imagine if your kids had an alarm too.
Oh, yeah.
So you could
Oh, God,
know,
I'd be so chill. I'd be
okay.
like, go play outside. I don't care.
Exactly. I love that feature.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Guys,
It's so convenient.
yeah, just a display panel. Just tell me what's up.
Anxiety would be lessened.
Or would it be
tremendously.
raised? Or would it make it
Waiting
worse?
for the ding.
No, you wouldn't even have
No,
to.
you'd be, oh my God. If I was rich, I would invent it, and you hook it up to all of your nerve endings, and it's a weird thing.
Totally.
Dude, I would have the procedure done in a second.
The procedure. I think so.
Yeah.
Get the app.
Plan that shit out in
Get
your
the
head.
app booked
Right,
up.
there you go.
Oh, man. Tiffany, this has been so fun. Thank you so much for saying yes to us.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks for
Thank
being
you for
on the
having
show.
me.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Have a great day. And we'll be in touch, and we'll be following you and rooting for you and all the things.
And thanks for all the good work.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Beating
thanks
up some trolls in your your feed.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'll talk some shit back for you.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Don't fuck with
Thank
her.
you.
How about that?
That's right.
Be like, she doesn't need us
Thank
to
you.
stand up for her, but we're gonna. Okay,
That's
Becky.
right. Yeah, Becky. I'm gonna kick your
Nobody
ass.
needs the poll. Okay.
All right.
I love you guys. Thank you.
Love you
Okay.
too. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
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 Okay, so we talk about connection. That's what our deal is here. So we have a 6-step roadmap for instant connection. You can get that at connectionroadmap.com. It will give you the hookup on what to do to get instantly connected with people in this world.
Thanks for listening. You can find more about this episode and a way to connect to the community at lessalonepodcast.com. And if you like us, don't forget to subscribe and be sure to leave a review. It helps other people find us and could be just what they need.